Hi, and welcome to our webinar about enhanced debit and credit functionality. So the agenda for today is to give you a brief introduction with some practical info. Then I will explain the changes that are made and how this will affect you as a user before entering RamBase to show a live demo of the new pop-up tool for creating manual general ledger entries, plus some additional features that we will release at the same time. So my name is Daniel Iversen, and today we are going to focus on the enhancement we have made to the debit credit use in RamBase. If you do have any questions, please feel free to ask by using the chat functionality or save them to the end of the session. I will also kindly ask you to mute yourself during the presentation. So what has been changed in RamBase? The debit credit fields are now more visible than before, so the user will see these fields in more applications and reports than they have before. We will also show debit credit in addition to just amount or instead of amount in some cases. This will make it easier for us to implement other necessary functionality in the future with regards to general ledger postings, reporting, and so on. So this is done as a step in the internationalization of RamBase. I can also mention that we will release new version of the SAS application at the same time, where debit credit is also implemented. So the SAS application is the account specification of payables and receivables. So how will this affect you as the user? As I mentioned, the pop-up you work in when creating a manual general ledger posting has been renewed. We'll take a closer look on this afterwards. We'll now show all amount as positive numbers. So previously, credit amount has been shown as a negative number in the reports or applications where debit credit has been used. So this will be a change from now on. Please note that it will be possible to post negative number on both debit and credit side, as this is normal in some countries when doing corrections, instead of posting on the opposite side. Also, we've added a new attribute on general ledger account. It is possible to choose if the account should allow postings on both sides or only on one of the sides. Also, this is not relevant for all markets, but a needed functionality in some. For example, it could be especially relevant for the Polish market. So before I will enter RamBase to show you the live demo, I want to show you some example reports of the changes that have been made. The first report is the ATR list report. So here you can see an example of how the number in the credit column is now positive, while the number in the amount column is either positive or negative, as this is the total sum. So what's been changed here is really the number in the credit column. The other report I want to show you is the standard general ledger movement report, where we now can see amounts are split in either debit or credit instead of just amount. This should make the report easier to read for the users. So now we will go into the system to see the new pop-up for creating a manual general ledger entry. You will find the general ledger postings under Finance, General Ledger, and General Ledger Postings. When I create a new ATR document, you see that the pop-up is still the same as the old one. So I choose Manual Transactions, and write a short remark and press OK. The first thing you will see when we enter the General Ledger document is that new columns are added, debit amount and credit amount. So when I click the plus icon down on the left, the new pop-up appears. And what you see here is that also here is one column for debit and one for credit. This will make it possible to enter general ledger account on both sides in one operation, which could increase the productivity in some cases. So I enter the account for software on debit and short-term debt on credit side. What you now see is that the possible dimensions to use appears under dimensions, department and project, with some helping text here which guides you how to use them. For example, now you can see that both department and project are optional to use for both the debit and credit account. Now, for example, if I change the debit account to 6551, you'll see that the department is still optional to use for both sides, but project cannot be used for debit account, but it's still optional to use for the credit account. So if I add a project to this posting and press OK, let's see how the postings looks like. So you see that I've posted 5,000 on both sides, so the general ledger document balances out and is ready to be registered. In addition, the project is only added to item number 2, since it cannot be used on 6551 account. Please note that it is not mandatory to fill in both debit and credit in the same operation. I can choose to add an account only in one of the fields. So if I open the pop-up once again, I can, for example, add 6553 in the debit field, enter 2000 and press OK, and you'll see that only one line is added. What I can also mention is that the pop-up for editing a line is still the same as before. This is because you're now working on one specific item. So if I enter item number 3 here, you'll see that the same pop-up that you are used to from before appears, because now you're working on this specific line. Okay, so that was some of the basics of the new pop-up in the ATR application. I will now show you the new field on ACC. So if I enter an account here, you'll see that a new field has been added called posting type. So this posting type field can contain 3 different values, both only credit and only debit. The default for all accounts are both. Only debit or only credit means that RamBase will only allow postings on that particular side. So let me show you one example if I go back to my general ledger document. As you can see, I've added an account called 6553 here, and if I enter that account, you'll see that this has posting type only debit. So if I open the pop-up and try to enter 6553 in the credit column, you'll see I get this text: account is configured only for debit postings. And if I try to enter this amount, I will get this error message stating that it is configured to use only for debit postings, so I'm not allowed to register this posting. So if I want to reduce the value on a debit-only account like this, I have to enter the value in amount as a negative value and post it on the debit side. So firstly, I must remove this from the credit columns, and I enter the accounts as debit, and then the amount is now minus 2000. So now you see that this new line is added, and these 2 lines zero each other out. So as you can see, there are a lot more possibilities now with these new features. Some of you may also wonder how this will affect the CSV-based general ledger posting import to RamBase. These import jobs will not be affected. The import jobs will still only have one column to put the amount and one for general ledger account. So if the GL account allows postings on both sides, then positive numbers will be posted debit and negative numbers will be posted credit. If the account only allows postings on one side, then all amounts will be imported to that particular side, regardless if it is positive or negative. So the setting on account is the master. Okay, so that was all I wanted to show you this time. Thank you for your attention and have a great day.